as it is currently being promoted, is a call for anarchy, and it is more or less a call to force the hand of Tifnumbu to override the due process. They agreed that Nnamdi Kanu had been, the trial of Nnamdi Kanu has been slow, as if to say it's not deliberate. So they called Omoyele Sowore an anarchist, and there is a chance that they would arrest him before the 20th of October. So the other sides, who have also been lashing out at Omoyele Sowore for this call, they are treating it with suspicion, the same divisive suspicion that has made it impossible for the unhappy Nigerians to actually hit the streets to push home their demand from these rogues. So they are accusing Omoyele Sowore of working for Tifnumbu, and he cannot be trusted. Some are saying that he deliberately chose the 5th anniversary for the NSAS massacre. And at the same time, some are saying he's using it to lure the Igbos into another form of a national crusade, which they will pay for massively later. So different campaigns going on. But we'll get to that part. My own question is this. To those of you who knows and agrees that the way these rogues are ruining Nigeria is pretty much concerning to start with, and you agree that there's been so much imbalance in the administration of justice in Nigeria. So therefore, you have also witnessed the same system that is that kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu and locked him up for nearly 10 years now, in and out, yeah? And the same guys are celebrating the peace deal with the terrorists. All of this insider contraption. So you would agree with me that if they indeed have any case against Nnamdi Kanu, by now, I don't think it would take them this long. We all know why. They are stalling in court. But is the call from Omoyele Sowore something that those of you who believes in justice, by the way, for those of you who are not like cherry picking, who should get justice and who shouldn't, by the way. So do you think the call by Omoyele Sowore is a wrong call that other people should be making? And if you agree that other people should be making the call, who are these people that should be making this call? We're going to get into that this evening, one by one. First, before the reaction of, or should I say, I think before the reaction of the Presidency, Sowore had this to say with, Charles of Arise.
I'm not shocked because I think on your show I once declared that Kanu's predicament, his ordeal, is as a result of some persons in the Southeast who took a decision that his release would jeopardize their political career and future. That I know as far back as when Tinubu freshly became president, because I was part of some conversation to release him. And they said at that time, Imo elections are coming. If it comes out, APC might not win. And subsequently, I realized that some of the communiques you see is just, word of mouth by day. When they go at night or when they meet Tinubu, it's likely that they have a different position. And when I started contacting them in the last 24 hours, I'm shocked. Some of them that I used to be able to reach just switched off their lines. The ones I sent messages never responded. I reached out to Soludo, who I know personally.
That's Charles Soludo, who's
governor of Anambra State.
Right.
No response till now. I reached out to Alex Oti. Alex Oti used to be a columnist for Sahara Reporters, so I know him personally. No response till now. The only response I got was a nominal response that no, we shouldn't have dragged us the way you did. Reached out to Peter Obi, they said he's in Rome. But I sent a message that, you can behave as Romans do too, just be part of this. But some have been encouraging Senator Baribe. I reached out to him, he responded, he said, I'm in on this. And I know that Baribe suffered when he was a shorty for Kanu. In fact, I was sleeping on a Baribe's bed at the DSS in 2019, shortly after he was released, because he was shorty for Nnamdi Kanu. So the rep from his state at the National the House of Rep also signed up. A number of persons have signed up, some of them publicly, but there is no unified response from Southeastern political leaders or traditional rulers, or even the religious priesthood there, which many had expected would happen. But a lot of young people have signed up to this, and you can see that the Nigerian government is already pushing back because they've seen the response to be unequivocally in support of the release of Nnamdi Kanu at this time. I don't think they were expecting that such a response would be so favorable. I'm not.
So let's take it one after the other. I strongly believe that there have been, God knows, several attempts in order to get Nnamdi Kanu, to take their deal. The most popular of their deals for him was that he will renounce Biafra struggle. He will go away, gently, and he will go back to the UK, and there will be nothing about IPOB or Biafra anymore. So he declined, categorically, right? Then others were like, okay, if they start with, bail, kind of like reinstate the bill, and it would no longer, by any means, right, broadcast again. Like he won't talk, he won't use social media and all that anymore. It was like that too is not agreeing to. So I don't know many others they've proposed to him, and behind the scene, or indeed people like Omoyele Sowore. For those of you who care to know, right? Especially Omoyele Sowore, who has had a sort of a close relationship with Nnamdi Kanu, especially right after the attempt on his life, and then they met in New York, if I remember vividly, where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu himself realized that the struggle for the Biafran realization will indeed require the support of all other marginalized group in Nigeria. And therefore, he started kind of like building the bridges, started having this relationship with this and that. In fact, extended his preaching to northern Nigeria at the time. So when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was extraordinarily renditioned back to Nigeria, meaning he was kidnapped from Kenya and then, trafficked to Nigeria, tortured, did all of that. But before the day he was taken to Nigeria, Sowore got the hint of that too. He was in court. It was pretty much like a prevented. It was actually the one who broke the news of Nnamdi Kanu's abduction back to Nigeria that day. I don't know if many of you remember. So he's been behind, and he's been making so much effort as well, like to attend this bogus and sham trial. So him coming out to let us know that that's not just what it's been all about. He's been in contact with the supposed Eastern politicians that he could reach out to. So a few days ago, when he put out that statement that he will set aside his own differences, his political differences and whatever differences, is go with the Nigeria political class, that he would be willing to lead, if they are all willing to come out as well, to lead a never seen before united sort of like a peaceful march and protest to Ask O Rock. A message that has thrown the Tinubu's presidency, the security guys, it's thrown them into serious confusions right now, because somehow seems like there are people who have always been feeling that way too. Like, if you want to try him, or he's done something wrong, here is the evidence. You don't have to use tactical delays. adjournment, over adjournment and all that, right? And then with the effort to memorialize like a predetermined end, to say, okay, just convict him. Still much like disobeying your own court order. There are court orders that they've completely ignored, like they don't exist, including the one that said he should be released. He was discharged and acquitted, by the way. So they ignored all of that. The Supreme Court that said the withdrawal of his bail was wrong, meaning they should reinstate that before anything even goes on at all at all. They ignored that. They denied him access to medical care. They denied him access to his own lawyers. His own lawyers can't see him and jot things down and take it away to build his defense. No. All this madness, all kind of like systemic, way of persecution. And that's why we call him the prisoner of conscience. Nnamdi Kanu openly in court calls for the end to the violence that has erupted in the eastern part of Nigeria. He called them out. He condemned those who have picked up, in his name and wherever. He openly said, if he's out of this place, he will end all this madness in 5 minutes. All of that ignored, while they continue to amend their supposed charges against him. First, they started with treason. Then now they dropped all of that treason charges. Now it is terrorism. Somebody in your custody is now accused of sponsoring terrorism outside. Then bring the evidence that he is doing that. No. But Sowore also mentioned that, by the way. Here.
I think he made an open declaration in court where he said, give me 5 minutes. If I'm released, I'm going to end the violence in the Southeast. He made the declaration in court last year. What does you want from him? And you are the government, at any rate, you have a duty to protect the public. It's not his job to protect the Southeast or the Southwest. But the truth is that I have said this, and I'll repeat again. If you are a Nigerian, you can get away with a lot of things. But if you are Igbo, Nigerian, you can't get away with a lot of things. Yes,
but you're not getting away with much.
Yes, but the odds are stacked against you because you're coming with zero, and they will do to you. I mean, it was in this country that there's a Yoruba Nation movement. They even went and hijacked a radio station last year. Did you hear of any trial? Did you hear of any arrest? I'm not using that. I'm not saying that should not be the case, but we must tell ourselves the truth. That it just doesn't look good that the Igbos are marginalized in every sector, including in the justice sector. To get a trial wrapped up in 10 years is so difficult to do, especially when you claim that you have evidence that this person has committed these grievous crimes. Nothing has been done. There's nobody who's been presented as a witness. The only witness that was presented in his case did not accuse him of any crime. He didn't say he found a gun on him or he was importing ammunition or weapons or had a grenade. He just said, well, he was making declaration that he wants Biafra. And I've checked the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 Constitution. There's nowhere it is stated that it's a crime to say that you want Biafra.
Yeah.
I think he made...
By law, it is actually not a crime in Nigeria law to say, I want Biafra. I want Yoruba nation. I want Arewa nation. That's your freedom of speech. It should be covered. Of course, there is no freedom of speech. So, literally. So Nnamdi Kanu that is being charged for terrorism. They have nothing to link him or the organization that he is leading, IPOB. They have no link to say Nnamdi Kanu or IPOB imported their guns or gave guns to anybody in the eastern part of Nigeria. They don't have that. So they locked him up, hoping that The judiciary will finish the job for them. That is to legalize what they have done. But the foundation of all of that is already faulty. It is faulty because you can't kidnap somebody from another country and smuggle them into your country for trial, even as corrupt as Nigerian judiciary is, right? At a point, they had to tell themselves that this is wrong. They told Bokwari that, and they told them to let him go. But they won't. They won't let him go. So who are those benefiting from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's detention? Of course, the Igbo politicians. Some of them, when it is convenient, you will see them go straight and see him in prison and, not even prison, in that DSS detention. They'll go there and see him and take pictures and upload the pictures on the social media to give the impression to millions of his supporters that they are doing everything to get him out. And once they get what they want, they just change their language. Or they go back to the eastern Nigeria to amplify the insecurity there. So how are they benefiting? Security votes and what have you. It may sound so stupid. That's how callous these criminals can be. If not, why is he still being detained? Why is he still in there? Even you that want him not to be freed. I keep reminding those of you who have always become this vocal, repeating the same jargons that they are telling you. It is not, you with me now, it is not the job of Nnamdi Kanu, right, to protect the people of the eastern part of Nigeria by the Nigerian arrangement. It is the job of your government. Now, your criminal politicians who have resorted into harming, unemployable young people for political reasons, harm the society. I mean, the entire place, right? They chose to allow the criminality that is going on to go on, and to end it is their job. If you see somebody who has committed a crime, no matter who they are, apprehend them and deal with them instead of trying to kind of like force people to claim who they are not, that to justify the reason why Nnamdi Kanu cannot be released. I've seen so many Igbos who have said that if you see what these terrorists have done in Olu, in Osu, you will not come here and be saying that Nnamdi Kanu should be released. That's the point. The evidence that Nnamdi Kanu is the one sponsoring these, these attacks in Olu, in Osu, and all these places should have been presented to the courts, not his broadcast or what is said 8 years ago, 7 years ago. Do you get me now? While these supposed criminals are still everywhere in the eastern part of Nigeria. Some of them have been conscripted into government-sanctioned militia groups in the name of the government. These ones are legal and all of that. So the right thing is to present this evidence to your court, but no. And that is why when Omoyele Sowore made the announcement, and some of you who have been pretty much, I don't know, because we have some of you who are like, can't really process things for yourself. And situation in that contraption has gone so bad, right? That people will create scenarios. They will ignore the obvious. They will create scenarios in their heads, and they will believe the scenarios they have created in their heads, and they will be running with it. Okay. For those who are in the know, it was said that they couldn't release Angano. For those of you who don't want him released, some believes that the card of releasing Nnamdi Kanu has its own political advantage, or it's going to be a banana peel kind of a thing. If Tifnumbu released Nnamdi Kanu, would that not help Tifnumbu to stop, to stop the Igbos from voting, for Peter Obi, especially for Peter Obi? That's what some of disobedient, kind of put out, right? To them, if they release Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu will tell the Easterners not to vote. And if they don't, that simply gives